Hello and welcome to Real Estate 360, and this is the Real Estate 360 show. And I am Steve Conley, hashtag unemployable, and
I am Jason O. Miles, hashtag the real estate trainer. How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. How
That's
about
good.
you?
I'm loving life. You know what? I got to tell you, we have, I was hanging out with the attorneys yesterday.
Yeah.
And while we were eating, someone walks up and says, "Hey, I listened to your show on a podcast, and they've watched it," which is how they recognized me, of course. And they really enjoyed it. They really enjoyed it. And that person was a real estate professional in the financial world. So
nice.
yeah, it was pretty cool. People are listening. Speaking of that, this gentleman obviously listened. However, he heard it or heard about it. And he went and started to watch it on YouTube. He started to listen to it on iTunes, which we always encourage you guys to do. Go out there and get it. Check it out.
You can actually see it on our website, too.
That's right. The
realestate360show.com. From the show to the pro. What the heck? Let's get it all in there.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about. So yeah, listen, go there, check it out, like, share, comment. iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, website. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you want to hear more about, because we're glad to share.
Did he give you a check?
I did not get a check, but my ego was slightly stroked.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So we're talking about multifamily today. Is
That's
that
right.
what we're doing?
Today is multifamily. We promised them last week we'd talk about multifamily, and here we are.
Yeah.
Hey,
listen, I've been in real estate for a few years, and a couple of years ago, Miles and I were together, and he said, we should be doing some multifamily, and I'm shaking my head. I don't think so.
That's right. I remember that.
So I'm thinking, why would we do that? He said, well, it's cash flow, and there's a lot of potential there. There's write-offs and other stuff, and I just didn't see it. I'm just telling you, I was blind.
It's like that sometimes,
Yeah.
For all of us, in some way, the curtain has to be pulled back so we can really understand what's over there.
Yeah.
And then we can take steps to get it. And with the multifamily, a lot of people just think dollars and cents. That's so much money. I can't afford to buy a $1 million property or a $2 million property or a $500,000 property, and they feel as though they have to work up to that place, right?
Yeah.
And it's really just about understanding, because the reality of it is all you're doing is adding a zero, okay? If you can do a $10,000 deal, you can do a $100,000 deal. You can do a $100,000 deal, you can do a $1 million deal.
Exactly. And, it's not even, it actually can be easier to do the commercial and the multifamily than the single family, because it's just numbers.
It is. And, when you're seeking money, for instance, you might need $10,000 or $20,000 to do a deal, and you can attest to this.
Yeah.
If we need if we have to raise $10,000 or $20,000 on a deal, we are going to go through so much to try to get that $10,000 or $20,000. People are being greedy. They want to double their money. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But you just add a zero to that. We need to raise a couple $100,000. It seems like people come out of the woodwork to do those deals.
Yeah.
And they're realistic. They might charge you 5%, on the back end of the deal, or maybe take a little equity on the deal, or whatever the case. But it's financially feasible for people to do that. And there are a lot more people, believe it or not, readily available to offer that kind of assistance on the larger scale.
I like that.
Yeah.
And it's, in a whole different stratosphere there.
Absolutely.
And you don't have to buy these things either to make money on them.
No. I mean, we've flipped a few of them.
Yeah.
So, there's, 5 units, 18 units, there's 20-something units. And a couple years ago, when we first started to look at this stuff, and those are just wholesale opportunities. And it really gets you into the arena so you can understand, okay, who are the players here?
Yeah.
Where does the money come from? What does it look like? What does a deal look like? How is it structured? And when you find a deal like that 18-unit deal,
yeah,
that was a situation that obviously we wholesaled and it went really, really quickly, but that was a deal that someone had an owner-operator who was completely sick and tired of this thing.
May I tell you that story?
I'd love to hear that story.
It was actually a foreclosure.
Mm.
It was an owner-operator had it. That person disappeared,
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote. The lender foreclosed on it. I got a call, you know,
Mm-hmm.
hey, do you want this? And it's a multifamily, 18 units. And I said, let me look at it. And how much? And, you know, I heard the price and I said, that price for 18 units? Hey, that immediately caught my attention.
Yeah.
Bam, just like that. It's like, remember Robert Allen?
I do indeed.
You know, he gave a great example one time. I'm going to shoot off on this tangent because this is really, really good. He said, here's a whole bunch of stones. There were 100 stones there, and there were cubic zirconia and one diamond.
Mm.
One diamond. And that's what we're looking for is the one diamond when we're looking for real estate, right?
That's right.
He said, okay, tell me which one is the diamond, right? Well, how do you know?
Yeah.
You can't tell.
Yeah.
He said, what you do is you turn them over. And the one that has the point that shines like you can't, there's no
Just brilliant
question about it. That's the diamond.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I saw this at the price I saw it at, I said, oh my God, there's the diamond.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing with real estate. We're just sorting and sifting until all of a sudden it's like, there it is.
That's right.
It's treasure hunt every day. That's why I love this job.
That's right. It really is a treasure hunt every day. It's a good analogy.
So anyway, back to the story here. And I pulled up a picture on the internet and I said, wow, this looks pretty good. And that's not a great area of town. I mean, let's get real.
Right.
Yeah, but
it's still an opportunity though.
Hey, people live there,
Mm-hmm.
and just because you don't live there doesn't mean other people aren't going to live there.
That's right.
We talk about the ethnocentricity,
I love that
show.
word.
Anyway, so I said, all right, what am I doing? I'm not doing anything. Where are my keys to the car? Because I got to go right now and look at this property.
Yeah.
And I drove down there and said, wow, it looks like the pictures, because sometimes, you get there, they don't look like the pictures on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And I got out and looked around and jumped back in the car, went home, wrote the contract that day, then and there, done. So I called these guys that I had met that bought the house next to the church that we have.
Yep.
I said, hey, I got this property, and here's the price. You want it? He said, sounds pretty good. I don't know. Let's do some due diligence on it. And I said, okay. Now, my idea of due diligence was they're going to go over there and look at it like I did and sign the contract.
Right.
24 hours. And their idea of due diligence was a week. And so I said, no, that's not going to work, So 2 days later, after twice the amount of time I thought they should have had on due diligence, I went ahead and sent it out to the list, and that made them all upset. And I said, well, I gave you 2 days, to do diligence.
Right.
How much time do you need? He said, well, I was thinking a week. I'm thinking, yeah, okay, let's manage these expectations.
Right.
And anyway, I said, I already got a contract that's like a lot more than yours. I told him, but I don't really want to say. It was a lot more.
It was actually.
Yeah. It was over 6 figures more.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, definitely.
Than the agreed upon price.
Yeah.
And anyway, so he said, look, I don't really chase these things, do whatever you want to do. I said, well, I haven't even heard that you guys even want the thing yet. Would you tell me if you want it or not, He said, yeah, we want it. I said, okay. So I actually did the contract with them because they were just straight cash and it was an easy deal.
Yep.
So that's what woke me up to multifamily.
Yeah. And those are, I mean, look at it. We've got a guy who on a flipping it made $140,000.
Really?
On a flip, $140,000. So
that's not a bad part-time job.
That's not a bad part-time job.
I mean, how long did it take to do that?
You find the
months.
deal, you underwrite the deal, and the underwriting process really, it isn't as difficult as a lot of people think. Like, how do you underwrite it? You got to learn it, right? You got to get some information. You have to have some data. But the vast majority of that information is available to you, right? So from the seller of the property, from the county, tax records, things like that, utility information, that's public information, right? Just make a phone call, get average numbers, and you just kind of go from there. And then you just put an underwriting package together, which we've created, of course.
Yeah, you've done an awesome job with that.
That's a pretty solid one.
It really is.
You can get that data, plug it in there, and know literally within minutes if it's something that you want to really spend any more time on.
I really appreciate you because, you're really, when it comes to presenting things, you're a way better communicator than I am.
Oh.
And you're a lot more patient than I am. It's like, I kind of run out of patience. I was like, can't you see it?
Well, I still have young
turn
children.
Turn the things over so you can see the points. You know what I'm saying? Duh.
But that's what we're doing with all of this stuff that we look at. I mean, we're literally looking at dozens of deals a week.
Yeah.
Right? Dozens of these deals to turn them over. We want to see what's underneath the hood, if you will.
Yeah.
We're looking for that diamond. We're looking for that opportunity because there's different opportunities that are good for different investors. But you have to turn it over to see what kind of a deal it is and if it fits into your investment options.
Exactly.
So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today because there's cash flowing deals. I mean, obviously you always want to have cash flow, but there's also value add deals, significant value add deals, and where you actually look for those things. And those are the things that we're going to talk a little bit about in our next segment.
Value add right here on the sheet of paper.
You've done it.
Yeah, man. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah, watch. My God, you've cracked the code.
We'll buy your house. Click 833willbuy.com. That's 833WELLBUY.com.
Or call 833-WILL-BUY.
Se habla español. Llámanos. Call us today.
And we are back. Thank you for sticking with us. Steve.
Yes.
What can we share with our listening audience today?
Well, we have a lot of information, but, really with multifamily, I think we should kind of stick with the basics. And really what led us into this was I've been listening to the Dale Walmsley show that comes on right after us, at least for another, month or so or whatever,
right.
And the guy's right on, and he's talking multifamily and getting into that and retiring in 5 years, which is, quite appealing. But basics is there's a couple ways to quickly evaluate these things. It's price per door, for example, or cap rate, or sometimes it's just looking at it and saying, wow, this thing's vacant. So there's no cap rate there or anything. So that's all value add.
That's right. So. And understanding where to find these deals also.
Yeah.
Just to give everybody a quick understanding of what I do. I mean, we're afforded the opportunity now to kind of look the way we want to look and not just in our backyard, right?
What do you mean by that?
We're looking all over the Southeast.
Oh, I see. I thought you meant, how we dress.
Exactly. So we get to do that now. And so we're looking at all kinds of deals, but it's more than just opening up, LoopNet or creating relationships with brokers. It's more than that. You have to really understand what it is you're looking for. Now, for us, we're looking for a certain percentage of growth in any given area over the course of 20 years.
Yes.
We're looking for what's spurring that growth. Is it what industry is it? Is it something is it manufacturing? We know we're having a tough time in manufacturing right now. What are the price points? What do you want to do? What do you want to offer? For us, we're looking at affordable housing, which is a huge issue in our country today, really all over the world, in any major city. Affordable housing is a big, big deal.
Right.
We're watching Class A buildings just spring up everywhere. I mean, it's just way overbuilt. That's a whole nother conversation. But they're calling, those Class A and B plus buildings workforce housing. And it is, those are hardworking people, right? But On the other end of the spectrum,
But they're expensive.
they're super expensive.
Yeah.
On the other end of the spectrum, when you have people that are barely making it, they're working, but, they might be working at fast food restaurants. They might be working at car washes, they're barely making it in terms of being able to afford, housing. And for a lot of people, $1,000, $1,100, $1,200 a month is just not doable. So they need to be in the $500, $600, $700, $800 range.
Right.
And that's what we are able to provide. So we look for those kinds of properties that are being poorly managed by owner operators that are absent or they just don't care. We've run into some pretty slummy people, man.
I'm telling you.
They're just slime balls, a lot of them. Not everybody. Some people just get in trouble and they get overwhelmed and they can recognize it quickly and say, look, I need to cut my losses now and get out of this thing. Some people are just dirtbags.
It's temperament. So I'm talking to one of our lender guys the other day, Monday. And so he's been saying all along he wants to get into renovations on single families. I've got a point here. And so, but over the last month, I get texts from him, and he's up one minute and he's down another. And it's like, oh my God, this guy's bipolar or something.
Yeah.
I mean, and he sends me these comps that are. He said, "Oh my God, the prices are going down. Oh my God, these guys are doing a fantastic renos, and all this thing needs so much work, and it doesn't need that. Our property doesn't. So we kind of finally put a little thing together for him to jump into the renovations because I keep saying, "Are you sure you want to be in the renovation business?"
Right.
Because, and he said Monday, he said, "I don't know how you guys do it. You guys must have nerves of steel." And I said, "No, we just been doing it so long, we kind of know what's going to come next, you know." But so what the point was is that multifamily, you take that type of stress and you multiply it by 10, 20, 30, 50, 60, 80, 100 units.
Yeah.
And so some people just can't deal with that.
Well, it's about perspective,
Right.
their perspective, how they're looking at these things. People deal with things differently, but it's about the opportunity in front of you, focusing on the opportunity. So many people are focusing on the problem, right? But you're a problem solver. That's what this business is, right? If you're wholesaling real estate, when you make a deal, you're generally saving someone from a bad situation. Maybe it's a foreclosure, a divorce, or just the frustration of having to do repairs for someone who just goes to work every day and they don't know, they don't want to know, they just want to get rid of the problem. And as a wholesaler, that's the problem you're solving. Another problem you're solving as a wholesaler is the need for another investor who does want to do the renovation to find deals.
Right.
You've just saved them time, right?
Yeah, heck yeah.
Exactly.
A lot of time.
As a renovator, we're solving the problem of the eyesore on the block in the community, right? We're taking this eyesore and we're making it beautiful. We're beautifying not only the house, but the area immediately around the house, which makes it more desirable for other people, right? Yeah. And we're solving that buyer's problem by giving them a beautiful and comfortable place to live.
So what you're saying is?
We're just problem solvers. So that's a small problem, but it's a problem nonetheless. You take that problem and you move it over to another opportunity, which is the multifamily, and you're again solving people's problems. The slumlord, you're taking this property off of his hands because he's getting fines. He's got code enforcement breathing down his back. He's got
tenants calling him
constantly. Can't get property management in there, so they're forced to do it themselves because they refuse to do the renovation. At some point, it's overwhelming for them, and they got to get out.
Yeah.
And you're solving that problem. Then you start doing the renovations, and guess what? Now you're solving problems for all kind of people, and you're creating affordable living options that are decent for people that are also in the working class that, I don't want to get political here, but in a lot of ways are being forgotten about. When you've got housing authorities tearing down, 1,000 units at a time and only building 500 more, 50% more, that's a problem.
And that's, you were talking about the criteria that we're looking for, and we're looking for saturation in a particular area
Absolutely.
too. And that's what you just said is what's going on in at least one of the areas that we just got something in. We just purchased.
I mean, we this quarter we have acquired 108 units this quarter, right?
Yes.
So it is. We're looking for market saturation. Where are the problems? We're always looking for the problems.
Yeah.
You know, we're looking for the opportunities. You know, when I underwrite these deals, I'm not underwriting these deals to get them, to buy them. I'm underwriting them not to buy them.
Of course.
Okay.
Looking for the gotchas.
Exactly. I'm sifting through information that makes me not want to buy this deal. Yeah. That makes me not want to present it. When we present it to the lenders, all the lenders have to do is literally look at the information that we're providing them and say yes or no, because all the work's done. Yes, they're still going to put it in through their process, but it's expeditious at that point.
Those lenders are looking for the reason not to lend the money. Like, what's the problem on this particular situation? So if you're doing the same thing, then we've already crossed that line, which is, hey, this is it. And so looking at it from the lender's point of view will make it much easier to get it funded.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's exactly right. And you have to be there. So, you know, where do you find these deals? You find them everywhere. You know, with multifamily, you don't have to just look at one area in your backyard, because guess what? They're all underwritten the same way. They're all valued the same way. How much rent does it get now? How much can the market bear? Can you increase the rents? Right? Does it need any renovations? If so, how much? And then you apply that to the cost per door based on how much you want to make. And then you present the deal that way. But you look everywhere. You know, we're looking in the C class, space is what we're looking at.
Yeah.
You know, a C class. So it's A is the very best. B is, you know, it's A, B, C, D, just like grade school, right? You get D property. Nobody wants to be there, but people find themselves in that situation sometimes, right? So
certainly,
you know, there are more people that are living in those C and B class areas than there are in the D and the A, right? So if you focus on where the need is, anywhere USA, you'll find decent opportunities that you can either wholesale, bring in partners that know what they're doing, buy it, get educated for sure. Just don't buy it because you think it's a great deal either. I don't care how much money you have in your pocket. You don't want to lose any of it, right? Unfortunately, that does happen. But so you have to teach yourself how to operate these things, how to deal with management.
But, you know, while we're fixing these problems, we're also creating opportunities.
Across the board.
And it'd be great if we could talk about that a little bit in terms of our syndication on some of these and how that might look to people who might want to be in real estate, might want to be in multifamily, but they don't want to deal with the day-to-day.
Absolutely, because it's work.
It is a lot of work.
And there are a lot of processes that you need to have in place. And I think that after the break, we could talk a little bit more about that.
And let's do that in Cap Rate.
Hi, this is Sammy with Sammy Hadid Real Estate Keller Williams. Are you looking for a top producing agent who will look out for your best interests? Top dollar on the sale of your home, a well-negotiated contract, an efficient closing? Please call me at 305-978-4249. I'm more than happy to set up a consultation. I'll put together a proposal for you to net top dollar for your home, what it is that I'm doing to get all my homes sold. Then you can decide what's best for you. Again, I'll do whatever it takes to get your home sold for top dollar, and I promise you that I will protect your equity with my life. 305-978-4249. Sammy Hadid, Hadid.
And we're back. We are back. Welcome back. We're happy to be back. And you wanted to talk a little bit about cap rates.
I did. And, you know, just in general about how to evaluate these deals and do them quickly because, you know, you can pretty much get a sense of whether you have one or not. Like the one I was just talking about on the 18 units, you know, price per how much stuff you get is a pretty good indicator right off the bat. Of course, it depends on what kind of condition it's in and that sort of thing. But cap rate is, what is a cap rate? It's basically it's a calculation of your net operating income divided by the purchase price.
Correct.
And essentially it's your return on your investment,
Correct.
not including, mortgage payments and stuff like that, because, nobody knows what kind of financing you're going to get, or if you're just going to pay cash, or you've got private funds, or you've got, government funds or what have you, though. So you can't really put that in. This is really just a P&L on a profit and loss statement on that particular property.
That's exactly correct. And there are a lot of numbers that go into that, but that's exactly right. The simplest way to say it is exactly how much you pay for it based on what the net operating income is. And that's what the cap rate is the day you're looking at it, right? Now, how do you manipulate that number? You manipulate that number by saying, okay, it's going to cost us X amount of dollars to renovate it, right? Which is called CapEx, or capital expenditures.
Mm-hmm.
How long is it going to take us to do this? Are we going to have to get rid of people? Can we raise rents? And if we can, what can we raise those rents to? How can we increase the income so that we can get a higher cap rate for ourselves? And then what is the market that property in? What are like properties that are functioning well selling for? What cap rate is it selling for? Because that's the indicator on terms of how much money you're going to make or not make.
And with those properties that are selling at a particular cap rate, those are comparable sales.
Right.
And that's what an appraiser would use to appraise your property once it's brought up to those same standards.
It's definitely part of it, right?
Right.
That cash flow is a significant issue. How much like we had an issue on one of the properties that we bought with the appraiser, right?
Yes, we did.
So, there are different ways to operate. And in this particular situation, the appraiser took it upon themselves to say what it was going to cost us to operate this particular property, right?
Right.
And we don't have those expenses with the management system that we have in place. But it didn't matter to that particular company. They said, okay, it costs this much per door to operate this kind of property per year, so that's what we're going to use. And you know what? There is some validity to that, because as you grow, as you scale, you do. Right now, what is the cost per door that you should count for salaries? Right now, it's approximately $1,200 a door. Approximately. Now, it depends on where you're at and what kind of properties you're buying. It can be as low as maybe $700 a door, and as high as maybe $1,500 or $1,600 a door. I've seen both extremes
Per year.
Per year,
Right.
But if you're calculating, like for us, what we're buying and where we're buying, if we calculated $1,000 a door for salaries for every door that we acquire, it's up to us as to how we allocate that money, right? Mm-hmm. If we're going to hire on-site people, and are we going to pay them? On a 60 unit, are we going to pay him $60,000 a year to sit down there? Absolutely not.
No.
We've got a gentleman in a 48 unit who we pay $2,800 a month to.
Yeah.
So again, you have to understand what the numbers are. If you don't understand what the numbers are, you need to put yourself in some kind of a meetup group, in the company of people that are doing this, get involved with round tables. Just put yourself in the space that you need to be in to get educated, to find partners, to find investors, syndications is another thing that you'd mentioned, because we're going back into where we find the money for these deals. How do we buy $1 million or a $2 million property when I'm having a hard time finding hard money for the $60,000 single family over here, right? How do we do that? Well, you do that by letting people know what it is you do. And a lot of people are going to say, do I find the deal first, or do I go get the money first? And a lot of people will say, hey, go find the deal first.
Yeah.
Why I'm of the total opposite of that.
Oh my gosh, that's how we differ.
Yeah,
that's one way. Because I'm always about, let's go find the deal first.
I'm doing both, by the way.
I know you are.
You're right.
I know.
So, because I know once that deal presents itself, the money is going to come.
Absolutely.
But if you've already created some relationships and you've got people that just like, listen, when your next deal comes up, talk to me. I've got some money sitting in the wings over here that I'd like to invest in something like that. You're just, what's the term? You're greasing the pump. Is that it?
Yeah, sure.
You're greasing the pump. You're getting.
I don't think that's it.
I don't think it's it either.
You're
priming the pump. There it is. You're priming the pump, because when you do find the deal, you've got $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 sitting over there,
Right.
of people waiting to invest.
Now, I have a question for you. Why would they invest in a syndication when they could just go buy the property themselves?
Well, Steve, I think that's an absolutely fantastic question.
Yeah.
And
And
I
get
believe-
all of the benefits for themselves.
That's right. Well, here's why. Because the vast majority of those kinds of investors are investing what we refer to as safe money.
Right.
Money that they don't want to have in the market. They're professionals. They're career people. They're lawyers. They're doctors. They're dentists.
They have a daytime job already.
They've got a daytime job. They're plumbers. They're all of these things, right? But they've got IRAs and 401ks, self-employed pension plans of some sort. And they have this money and they want to be a little more aggressive with it, right? They don't want to just make whatever the market is giving them. And then there's, of course, market volatility. You don't want to have all your money in one basket, especially as we're watching, people are getting older and they don't have the same tolerance for the market swings at 55, 60 that they did at 25 and 30.
Well, yeah, and they're 55 and 60. They're looking at those people,
Yeah.
whoever they are. I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
So, they're looking at maybe a shorter term. So they're not looking 10, 20, 30 years down the road.
Absolutely.
I mean,
You
I
know.
don't think.
No, it's exactly right. And they're looking for some kind of cash flow or an increased option,
Yeah.
for them. If they're getting 4 or 5% in the market and you're saying, hey, look, we've got a 6 or 7 or 8% preferred interest rate for you. And oh, by the way, there's an equity position for you with cash flow quarterly as well.
Is that what we do?
That's what we do. I mean, there's a
Okay.
ton of different structures out there, right? Some are a
Absolutely.
little more aggressive than others. Ours is aggressive because we want our partners to make money. We want our partners. There's no reason to be greedy. There's so much opportunity out there.
Exactly.
We don't have to take 94% of the pie, and throw 6% of the crumbs
You know what
to
I
everyone
like?
else.
You know what I like best about our syndication?
What's that?
Well, other than the fact that, it's our syndication, other than that, what I like best about it from the investor point of view is that they come in with their money, they get a preferred interest rate, they get cash flow, they get tax deductions. But here's what I like the best. When we get things stabilized and we get the occupancy at a certain percentage, we refinance it and give them all their money back.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep their ownership position until we actually sell the property and get
that's
a
right.
piece of that as well.
That's right. And that is a specific type of formation, right?
Yes.
It's all that structure is based on the kinds of deals that we're looking for that fit into that, right? So these are value add situations. These are properties that need, extensive renovation where there's a huge upside. Like we bought one, we're all in it just under $2 million.
Yeah.
Once we stabilize, it's a $3.4 million property at best, 3.2 at worst.
Yeah.
Right? So we're looking at $1.2 million
Mm-hmm.
in upside. So because of the renovations that we do, because of the fact that, the average rents over there were $390 when we bought it, the average rents for the area are $550.
Yes.
Right? So there is huge potential there. So it's a lot easier for us to go once we've done the renovations, stabilized it to a certain degree over the course of, 6 to 12 months, depending again on how long it takes to do the renovation. Now we can go to a traditional lender and say, okay, we need to do a cash out refi. We're okay with doing 70%.
And we're up to X percent occupancy.
Absolutely.
And here are the financials. Here's our cash flow. And so the lender can look at it and say, oh, you guys can afford to make your payments.
That's exactly right. And guess what? When you do a cash out refinance, you don't pay any taxes on that money that comes to you. You know why?
Of course not.
You know why, though?
Yeah, sure. It's not a sale. It's not a taxable
right.
event.
It's not a taxable event.
It's a loan.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's a loan. It is not proceeds from a sale. It's a loan. So that money goes right back to you to reinvest into other things.
Exactly. And
God bless America, man.
And those other things, the reason we have this structured this way, and really I'm going to credit you with all of that because you did that. And you said, and I said, why are we giving away so much money here? You know me.
Yeah.
I'm going to negotiate. And you said, well, if we do it this way, and we go through the process and we refinance and we give their money back, there's a high likelihood that they're going to come back and invest again. So
Absolutely.
when we're ready to go to our next project, then we have all these investors that are really happy that are going to come right back in and go with us on another project.
That's right, because they
Simple as that.
exactly.
It's a lot of work to raise money, you know?
Yeah, it is.
And if we already have happy people on the sidelines ready to go, then that cuts down on all the work that you have to do, the little bit that I have to do.
And then, really at that point, it just turns into, because you're going to be growing a business, right? If it's something that you plan on doing consistently, in terms of syndications, working with other people, you're going to be growing a business. So you're going to eventually have, investor relations people, because you're not going to be able to take 50 calls and operate, so you've got to start to delegate at some point, because it can get out of hand,
Right.
But listen, let's talk a little bit more about this as we come back from this break.
We'll buy your house. Click 833willbuy.com. That's 833WELLBUY.com.
Or call 833-WILL-BUY.
Se habla español, llámanos, call us today.
Welcome back. It's realestate360show.com.
Yes, it is.
Hey, Mr. Miles, you wanted to talk about cash flow.
Absolutely, because we talked a lot about, value add options, right? Even your cash flow opportunities that are out there are value add situations, because there's, as we said earlier in this, there are different kinds of investment options when you're looking at multifamily, right? There's the value add, which is significantly increasing the value by doing, renovations, capital expenses, CapEx, right?
Right.
Doing the renovations, raising rents. There's a lot of opportunity there. But there's also opportunity, especially in the B class space, well, C plus, B minus maybe, where, you're buying properties that were built in the 70s and the 80s that, again, are being operated by the owners, generally speaking. And you know what? Maybe you're not going to be in a situation where you can raise the rents $150, right? Maybe
Probably not.
Yeah, right.
Especially if the rents are $350 now.
But maybe it's a building where maybe there's only $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 tops that you have to do per door in capital expenditures and CapEx renovation money.
Yeah.
But you can come in right away, and for the leases that are up, maybe there's a $40 or $50 buffer there from what that property is getting as opposed to what the community is getting, right? But you can't go up that fast right away. You'll lose a lot of people. So you slowly do the CapEx, the renovations, and as the leases are expiring, you don't go up so high on the rents. You do a nuisance raise of $15 to $25, right? It's just a nuisance raise. And then after that, you just follow, like there are companies out there that are increasing at 5% a year, even 10% in some cases. But those are different kinds of situations. But generally, you're going to see, 2.5%, 3% increases. Most companies just kind of follow the curve of inflation of, so if we're at 2.7%,
Right.
we're going to charge 3%.
The CPI, the Consumer
Absolutely.
Price Index.
And in that way, you've created some opportunity and you've increased your cash flow, which increases your
cap rate
Which-
and your NOI.
That's exactly right, which means you get more money.
Your valuation.
It increases your valuation. And that's just one way. And there are several ways inside of that, because then, of course, you got your big boys
Yeah.
that are buying at, 4 and 5 caps because they want to hold for a long time. They got a bunch of cash sitting to the side, and those are your institutional investors, though.
And they're looking at those properties that are 95% occupied. They've got a
Class A.
right. They've got a track record of 3, 5, 10 years down the and so that's safe, super safe money.
Super safe.
And they're buying it for some tax deductions as well.
Of course. Absolutely.
And-
It's great. Cost segregation, I keep telling people, is one of the best options for
reducing your taxes.
for reducing your tax liability. But again, you have to be a real estate professional to take advantage of it, and the
Right.
property has to be $750,000 or more in terms of what you paid for acquisition.
Yeah,
so there are some caveats there that one would need to be familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the cost of the analysis and blah, 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 blah. You got to do it all. Having said that,
Yes.
we've talked about a lot today.
Well, yeah, we're not finished.
No, but what, I just want to kind of make sure that we're keeping everybody on track. We talked about how to wholesale,
Yeah.
Multifamilies. We talked about, where to find them, where to look. We talked a little bit about underwriting and what you need to do for the underwriting process in terms of the numbers you need to gather. And you know what? There are spreadsheets that we've created that are available if anyone ever, would like to look at those and get a little bit of acquainted with the multifamily underwriting process. If so, just go to realestate360show.com
and
shoot us a message, request it, and we'll get it out to you.
There's a little on the menu there. There's a little thing called contact, and you can click on that and send us a message.
Yeah, pretty easy, guys.
Yeah, really.
Pretty easy.
I want to review cap rate because I remember the first couple times I heard cap rate, and it was like, oh my gosh, what is a cap rate?
Yeah.
But you can kind of get a really good feel, and the reason they come up with cap rates is so you can get a really quick understanding of maybe the value there. And sometimes you'll see a 4% cap rate, sometimes you'll see a 15% cap rate,
Mm-hmm.
and so those are indicators, really, from my point of view, as to what am I looking at. So if I see a 4, 5, or 6 cap rate, I'm thinking, okay, this is a very stabilized property. It's been there for. It's not something I'm probably even going to look at because there's no value add. What am I going to do with it?
It only makes sense if you got $50 million tucked away and you need to do something with it.
Exactly. I don't really qualify for that right now. I'm just being honest. $50 million is not. I'm not. Well, hey, it's coming, but
it's already there.
It is there. Oh, yeah. Now we're into the law of attraction, and that's a whole nother show.
That's right.
And I'd love to do one, and I keep bugging the people here at the station to give me an hour to do a law of attraction show.
No, we've got to stay on the capitalism side of things.
Well, see, that's the cool thing. You can take that law of attraction and turn it into cash.
Yes, indeed.
That is called capitalism. But anyway, so cap rate, and I wanted to kind of go over it again just so that people understood.
Yeah.
It's your, and I said, and I made a quick reference to P&L, profit and loss statement. That's how you look at all your businesses. So you have your income, you have your expenses, and then you have your net profit or loss, and that's why they call it a P&L. So it's the same thing with apartments. You got your income, which is the rental income or the late fees. The vending, the laundry, whatever is there. And then you subtract your management, your maintenance costs, your
taxes,
lawn
insurance,
service, your utilities, what is it?
Taxes, insurance.
All that stuff, property taxes, insurance, and then you end up with a net number. Sometimes that's positive, sometimes that's negative.
That's
so
right.
let's just assume let's do a pro forma in the vibrational verbal world here. And so we got a positive income there. And then you take that positive income, you divide that by your cost to acquire that property. Maybe let's say the asking price.
Right.
And then that's your cap rate.
So what that looks like numerically is if they're asking $1 million for it.
Yes, that's
and
a good number.
Yeah. And you have determined that it has an NOI or a net operating income, the money that's left over after all expenses but before debt service. If that number was 100,000, you divide 100,000, or a million into 100 by 100,000, and it's 10% would be your cap rate there.
Yes, that's right.
So that's a very simplistic way to go about it, but it's what it is, right?
So that's your return on investment. So if you take your $100,000, you buy that, you get 10% return.
That's right.
That's it.
If
That's
you're
all
operating
it is.
it properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're assuming
making the assumption that we all know what we're doing.
Right. And that's a big assumption.
For real.
Anyway. And if you don't know, sometimes you know you don't know, and sometimes you don't know you don't know. But if if you can look at it and you're not getting your 10%, maybe you should hire a management company.
Yeah, well,
To run
and even
that.
then, you have to learn those management processes. Again, it's very important to get acquainted with a group of people that are doing this so that you can share information with one another. Again, that can be meetup groups. It can be round tables. You can
Be listening to the real estate show.
Absolutely.
on
Well, you
podcasts
got to
or
get some dialogue
YouTube.
going on. You got to
Right.
get it going on.
Yeah.
You got to start it. And if that starts, like you said, with reaching out to us, which we'd love for you guys to do, iTunes, Real Estate 360 Show, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, realestate360show.com. From the show to the pro, all that great stuff, right?
Absolutely.
And I love that tagline you created there, brother. But you
don't
just got to get in it. You got to get in it. You have to become familiar with this thing. A lot of people are just kind of jumping out there. They're not really doing the work, which is important. So learn how to do the work, and you can recognize the BS when it's in front of you.
Getting in it is, it's got to be fun,
Yeah.
Let's just make it fun. And the thing I like to look at properties. It's like I'm on a treasure hunt every day. I'm out there looking to find that chest of gold. And by the way, we've talked about it from the point of view of single families.
Yeah.
We're talking about it from the point of multifamilies.
Yeah.
And all of this is interchangeable.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do what we do with cars.
Mhm.
You can do it with single families. Warren Buffett does it with businesses.
Mhm.
And you talked about management. Warren Buffett looks for the value,
Mhm.
the cap rate. He's going to look at it from a point of view and an ROI instead of a cap rate
Mhm.
on businesses. And he looks at management.
Mhm.
If the management's really good, he pays a lot of attention to that. You can do it on retail centers. We're putting together a little retail center, wholesale
Mhm.
assignment, flip, double closing, whatever you want to do it.
Yeah.
The rest of it is, okay, once you get all the numbers together, you get your buyer over here, you get your seller over there. Now you're doing an arbitration transaction. What's arbitration? It's I've got a buyer and I've got a seller. And I'm in the middle. That's it.
right.
That's an arbitration. So you're not speculating,
That's right.
You're creating, you're recognizing an opportunity. You're saying, hey, this is worth more. You find a guy that says, yeah, it's worth more. I'll pay more.
Yeah.
And you put that deal together.
And that's where it is. Period.
Yeah.
Point blank.
That's right.
So focus on that, guys. Don't sit around and wish that you could do something or hope that you can do something, because you're never going to do it if it's all on a hope and a prayer. Take action. Reach out to the people that know what they're doing, that are looking to help other people get into whatever it is they want to do, whether it's single family, whether it's multifamily, whether you want to invest passively, be a lender, whatever it is you want to do.
On that note, I'm going to say it quickly. We have a seminar coming up November the 9th, and that is funding your properties. You talked about the money.
There it
and,
is.
2 hours, solid 2 hours, and we're not going to sell anything.
realestate360show.com and check us out on iTunes. Thanks, guys.